Hey, how's it going, everyone? This is your boy Kermit, still back at this crap. As embarrassingly bad at it as I am. I'm gonna be reviewing a full anime, so every single episode, not just one. I was gonna review the Carol and Tuesday, but it looks like Netflix got it, so we won't be getting it legally till Christmas. And last I checked, it wasn't online yet through the seven C's, if you know what I mean. So I thought I'd review this old niche anime from what was it, like 2007. It was super niche. It's probably even nicher now. It got a lot of mixed reception, and I'll get into why. But I guess I'll give a little background first of this series. So it started as this book, which got turned into a manga that I don't think followed the book very closely at all, which the manga got into anime that tried following the manga, but it also wasn't very similar to the manga at all, I think. Neither the book or manga are legally available over here, but I've looked around on the internet and saw some pictures and stuff, and I'm like, this looks nothing like the anime did. But I kind of have a special place in my heart for the anime, so I'm going to go over it and why I think it's worth, giving it a little try. This is the edgelords anime. This is the anime for people who, if something is edgy enough, like even if the plot, is mediocre or uninteresting, like they'd still like it. Like there's people like that, like myself. Like, I'm not going to consider it a masterpiece, but if something has enough, violence and shock and crap that I can, like, either laugh at or just be like, whoa, like, I don't mind watching it, but I'm not going to call it a masterpiece or anything. And this is kind of one of those series. It really depends on who you ask, but people either love it or hate it, and, the few reviews I've seen. The main character, the guy on the right here, he's the edgelord's man. This guy says like 5 words an episode. He doesn't really have much of a background. That was one of my friend's complaints. Let him borrow it, and he said his complaint, first off, is they didn't give much of a background of him, but he's also, I think he's based off a real historical person in Japan. So maybe that's what when they made it, they were like, everyone in Japan knows who this guy is. But anyway, he was on the run from, I guess his dad was some politician back in like the Sengoku period or something, and he disguised himself as a monk and changed his name, and he ends up finding this house in a forest and staying with this girl here. It was him, and it was like his bodyguard. And from what I understand, so the title of the anime, Kurozuka, it comes from this. It originates from this play that's like, I don't know, like 1,000 years old. It's some very old play in Japan, and I guess in the play, it started off similar where there were a couple of monks, and they stayed at the house of this woman, but then it was revealed that the woman was like this ogre demoness, and it was trying to take this monk, and keep him there for all eternity, because she was like mad in love. It's like, you're gonna love me, and you're gonna stay with me forever and ever. And she was like a monster. She wasn't even like human. And so the guy tried getting away, and I think it's like she tried attacking him, and like like clawing at him and stuff to injure him enough where he couldn't get away. But I guess the bodyguard, like, he was out doing something, he came back and he beheaded the ogre demoness, and then they left. And that was the end of the original story. And so this book is this very unique take on that, where I think the concept is they combined that story, but he combined it with this other Japanese folklore tale about, I think it's called the Mero Kubini or something like that. And it was the story of this mermaid, which I guess in Japan they had their own version of mermaids called, Meru Kubini or whatever it was. I forgot how it was pronounced. And it's a story about this guy who ate the flesh of the mermaid and then became immortal. And that was kind of his curse. And it was one of those stories of like, oh yeah, immortality sucks. And it took that and it combined that with Western vampires. So it's a vampire anime. Like it's got some samurai stuff in there, but it's like samurai vampires, I guess. So yeah, it combines that Kurozuka play I was talking about with the Miro Kubini story, and then combines it with Western vampirism, which like the Kurozuka story and the Miro Kubini isn't mentioned in the series. That was something I just did a lot of research on. I'm like, what, this sounds about right, and I'm sure it probably goes into that with the book. Which I don't know about the differences between the book, the manga, and anime, but I'm sure they're all huge. Anyway, the anime, like and then instead of running, he falls on the guy falls mad in love with the girl, and I don't want to spoil too much, but he becomes a vampire. He gets beheaded, and then he wakes up in the future after getting beheaded, and he had his body back. So that was just kind of like a mystery of how he had his body back. And it's like a post-apocalypse future. Now there's like guns and cyborgs and stuff. And long story short, I bet the most controversial thing about this anime was the ending, which is really open to interpretation. And I think it had a lot to do with the butterfly effect. And, I won't spoil it, but the emphasis is on how the girl keeps asking the main character to follow her to the end of time. And it was kind of, I realized when I got to the end, it's, I don't want to spoil it, but I think it doesn't outright say it, but I think my interpretation I had was pretty spot on, and you guys can, come up with your own. But yeah, I think the reason people didn't like this is I guess there wasn't a lot of, there was a lot of action, or at least the action it had was good, but there was just it was very atmospheric. It was kind of like Blade Runner, where it's a mixed bag, because some people don't like how a lot of the screen time is just the main character walking through, walking through buildings and alleys and stuff, and it's just zooming in on like the architecture and stuff. And that was kind of it. And it's like if you watch it again, you'll see there's all sorts of symbolism kind of painted around. But it had some problems. I thought the art style was really good. I really liked the character designs. Some of the fights looked like really original, like the animation and the camera angles and the movements. It's like I don't think you'd see them in any other anime. But there were some issues, and I like to bring this series up because so the guy who created the book that this whole series is based off of, he created another book called Chimera, and the director of Ghost in the Shell, I think, is currently working on a trilogy based off Chimera with Production IG. So you got a pretty good team there. You got Production IG, who made the Sengoku Basara and anime, which looked amazing. Like that Sengoku Basara anime is held up so well, and it's like over a decade old. And then there was that Ghost in the Shell anime that the plot wasn't that interesting, but it looked good. So it's got the original Ghost in the Shell director. So I want to hope it's good. And then I'm also, who knows? I want to bring it up because maybe, they might make a new Kurozuka series one day and might find like the ultimate story to tell between like the book, the manga, and the anime. And I'm not a big fan of like when an anime diverge story-wise from like the manga or whatever. I know when it comes to like books, it's like it's really hard to like everyone's going to imagine it differently. Like talking with like Stephen King books, all the Stephen King book readers always don't like the movies because it's not how they imagined it. And that's the thing with books, is you got to use your imagination, and so when it comes to life, it might not meet your expectations. But I at least like to hope it's like true to the books, which I don't think this anime, this Kurozuka anime is probably true to the books, but I think it's pretty good. I think I'd give it like I don't know, 7 to 8 out of 10. Like, there's just some really original stuff there. I like the character designs. If you're a huge edgelord, like, you're really going to like the main character. He had this really cool line near the end. That was something, he was this guy was confronting him. And so he's a vampire. He's been alive for 1,000 years. And this guy's about to draw his sword on the main character, and the main character says, "I've been swinging my sword around longer than you've been long before you were even a speck in your father's testicle. So trust me, you don't want to draw that sword. And it was like, ooh, edgy. And I loved it. So I guess that's all I have to say. Give it a try. Kurozuka. And this is Kermit out.